happens next if Trump contests Pence's subpoena on executive privilege grounds? Will that claim hold, given that Pence detailed some conversations with Trump in his book?
I think, Jonathan, that Donald Trump could delay the testimony or production of documents by Mike Pence, but I don't think he will ultimately prevail in stopping him. Executive privilege belongs to one person, the President of the United States, and that person right now happens to be Joe Biden. So it is Joe Biden who gets to decide whether executive privilege should prevent Mike Pence from testifying. I don't imagine he cares to do that. Donald Trump does have some residual executive privilege as the former president. He can make a recommendation to Joe Biden, but at the end of the day, it is the president's duty to decide whether to assert executive privilege. In addition, Jonathan, even if President Biden were to assert executive privilege, it is only a qualified privilege. And so if DOJ were to litigate this in court, I believe they likely would win under the precedent of United States versus Nixon, where the Supreme Court held that when there is a stronger government interest, such as a grand jury investigation, then the executive privilege must yield. So it may take a bit of time to litigate that and sort that out, but I think ultimately Mike Pence is going to have to testify.
And Michael, Vice President Pence refused to testify before the January 6th committee. Does this impact whether he complies with the subpoena, or could he become a presidential candidate flouting the rule of law?
Well, I'm glad to be with both of you. It's good to see you, Barb. I will tell you, there's probably nobody in the country more excited that Trump wants to fight the subpoena than Mike Pence. And that is because it gives him somebody to put the blame on for his delay in testifying. I think he probably does not want to testify. There's clearly no way out of the grand jury subpoena as it sits, and as opposed to some of the congressional subpoenas that we saw go out and that were challenged. You don't have the same separation of powers issues and those types of things that are there. So I expect at the end of the day he will testify. The case that we're talking about, the Nixon case, it really means that executive privilege can't be a shield to hide criminal conduct. You can't do things that are illegal and then try to get around it by claiming executive privileges. So this shield is not going to hold for them at the end of the day. So I think there will be some delays. I'm sure we've expected all that all along as we've watched these issues be litigated thoroughly, and this will just add to it. At the end of the day, I think he'll find himself sitting in the grand jury room.
So as Michael says, Barbara, and as you were saying, Mike Pence is going to delay. But listen to what Pence said, downplaying Trump's culpability.
I don't know if it is criminal to listen to bad advice from lawyers. Truth is, what the president was repeating is what he was hearing from that gaggle of attorneys around him. And, presidents, just as like all of us that have served in public life, you have to rely on your team. You have to rely on the credibility of the people around you.